Dog barks at babysitter, so mom hides camera in hair. He'd heard of dogs getting spooked by storms or even ghosts, but the way Killian was behaving around the babysitter was like something out of a horror movie. Something was very wrong. They had to do something rather sneaky and very underhanded, but they both knew that the truth had to come out. But when they finally played the audio back, they immediately called the cops. Benjamin and Hope Jordan were a happily married couple, finally living the American dream in South Carolina. With 7-month-old Finn and a big softie of a dog named Killian making up their family of 4, their life seemed picture perfect. But while they were working hard to provide for the household and their future, the Jordans had no idea of the evil that was lurking in their home. Because both Benjamin and Hope had demanding careers, it became clear that they would need a babysitter to take care of little Finn while they were out. When Alexis Kahn's background check came back clean, the Jordans were so happy they'd found the perfect candidate to look after their home. If only they'd notice the low growling sound every time she came into the house. Killian was the most gentle, calm dog the couple had ever known, and the way he was with Finn just melted their hearts. He wasn't the most courageous pooch, so they never considered him a guard dog, but he made a great companion for little Finn. But then Benjamin and Hope learned that Killian's behavior had taken a sudden and strange turn. One evening, their babysitter informed Benjamin that if he didn't get his dog under control, she'd pack up and leave. She described how he watched her and began growling and barking as soon as they headed out. Apparently, the dog would often stand right in front of her while she was trying to tend to the baby. "I'm scared of that dog," she yelled, "and what about Finn's safety?" Benjamin and Hope were completely taken aback. Benjamin tried to reassure himself. Killian was great with little Finn and never gave him a reason to doubt him. He would never, he whispered to himself. While his imagination ran wild, Benjamin told himself he was just being silly. But after Alexis's complaints about the dog continued to escalate, Benjamin realized there must be something else going on. Benjamin spoke to a few other pet owners. They suggested it could be a behavioral issue that Killian had developed. But why did he suddenly have an issue with strangers now? Was he jealous of their baby? Finn certainly didn't seem to have any complaints. In fact, he was generally very quiet these days. What was it that Benjamin and Hope just weren't seeing? Killian's behavior only got worse in the following months. The 22-year-old babysitter said she couldn't move without the dog losing its mind and trying to attack her. With no way of seeing the behavior for themselves and Alexis complaining that she was unable to do her job, the longtime pet owners considered doing something they never thought they'd have to do. Worried about going through the long and expensive process of hiring another babysitter, Benjamin had considered keeping Killian fenced off in the house while Alexis was around. But this wasn't a practical solution at all. He discussed his concerns with his wife, and it suddenly occurred to Hope that if Killian was this crazy around Alexis, perhaps he was trying to warn them of something. The more Hope thought about Killian's strange behavior, the more she knew that something just wasn't adding up. She and Ben had adopted him as a puppy, and he'd never shown any signs of aggression before. He'd been well socialized and never showed anything but protectiveness and affection toward baby Finn. So could Alexis be lying? Hope suggested they hide an iPhone under the couch to see if they could shed some light on the situation. Because when it came down to it, they trusted Killian with their child and never saw him as a threat. But Benjamin had a better idea that would allow the concerned parents to get to the bottom of what was going on in their home. Benjamin planned and built a tiny hearing device. The next morning, Hope carefully attached it to Killian's collar underneath his hair. This would allow them to listen to exactly what was going on. Hopefully, it would shed some light on what was triggering their normally placid dog while they were away during the day. That evening, Benjamin and Hope arrived back home from a long day at work, and as usual, Alexis immediately began to complain about Killian. Hope scooped Finn up and readied him for bed. Then she detached the recording device from Killian's collar and sat down with her husband to listen to what they had recorded. But when they heard the playback, the horrified couple could only stare at each other in disbelief. "The tape started with cussing," Benjamin said in his statement, "and it only got worse. The couple could clearly hear Alexis shouting at Killian to get out while his growling intensified. Then they heard another sound that chilled them to the bone. Without a word, Benjamin picked up his phone and dialed the police. The recording revealed that Alexis had been cursing and screaming at the baby. The police listened to it attentively and sympathized with the Jordans, but they weren't sure an audio recording would hold up in court. Then Benjamin played them another part of the audio that sent chills down their spines. Is this really who they had trusted to take care of their son? I wanted to reach through the audio, go back in time, and just grab him up, said Benjamin through tears. But now that they knew what had been going on whenever they left the house, something had to be done to stop it. Benjamin and Hope wanted to make sure that Alexis got exactly what she deserved. But the police were still worried the audio alone might not be enough to prosecute Alexis. Benjamin and Hope tried to build a stronger case, but in the end, there was only one thing they could do to stop the aggressive woman from doing this to another child. When a Charleston City police detective laid down the accusation, Alexis was quick to confess. She was sentenced to between 1 and 3 years in prison and forced to sign a register. That is fantastic news to us, Benjamin said, to know that maybe Finn's ordeal has possibly saved another child's life in the future. To know that for 5 months I had handed my child to a monster, said Benjamin, regretfully. Had our dog not alerted us to the trouble, had my wife's instincts not said, we need to make something happen, he added, trailing off. He did not even want to think about what might have happened then. If background checks don't alert us to dangerous people, can we really rely on our dogs to warn us that we might be inviting evil into our homes? Killian certainly proved himself to the Jordan family. After the incident, local newspapers published the story, and it wasn't long before Killian was hailed a hero, and he even made a few celebrity appearances.